This is Chapter 4, Set E, Problem 6. Now for Problem 6, the first list, it tells you to find the average, the deviations from the average, and the standard deviation. Well, we did this already in Problem 5. If you haven't watched the video for Problem 5 yet and you don't know how to do this, go watch the video for Problem 5. So the average was 4, and the average of the squared deviations was 20 divided by 5, which gave me 4. Just complete coincidence that those were both 4, completely coincidence. And take the square root of that, gave me a standard deviation of 2. So we have 4 for an average and a standard deviation of 2. Now the reason these are in here is because they want you to see what happens when you multiply every number in a data set by something. So notice, to go from 1 to 3, they multiply by 3, and from 3 to 9, they multiply by 3, and 4 to 12, they multiply by 3, and 5 to 15, multiply by 3. 7 times 3 is 21. So basically, they multiplied each value by 3. So let's see, what does that do to our average and standard deviation? So first, find the average of this data set. So we add up our numbers, 3 plus 9 plus 12 plus 15 plus 21, and divide by how many there are 5. Now remember, when you put in your calculator, to either put parentheses around the top or to do the top in a separate step. So that should give me 60 divided by 5, which should give me 12. Notice, what's the differences in our average? From 4 to 12, we just multiplied by 3. Hey, that's what we did to our data list. Okay. Now find the deviations and score them. So we write down each data value. So this is our steps to find our standard deviation. Anytime I have to find standard deviation by hand, I make a nice table like this so I don't lose track of what I'm working on. So find how far each thing is from the average. So 3 minus the average of 12 gives me negative 9. So it was 9 below. 9 minus 12 gives me negative 3. So it was 3 below. 12 minus 12 is 0. 15 minus 12 equals 3, and 21 minus 12 equals 9. So those were our deviations, but remember, if you just added all of those up, every time you'll always get 0. So instead, we're going to square them so that doesn't happen. So we'll do negative 9 squared, which equals 81. Okay. And then we'll do negative 3 squared, which equals 9. 0 squared equals 0. 3 squared equals 9, and 9 squared equals 81. Now, find the average or mean of the squared deviations. Well, for that, we have to add all these up. 81 plus 9 plus 0 plus 9 plus 81. And divide by how many there are 5. So let's see, this should give me 180 over 5, which gives me 36. Now to find standard deviation, you have to take the square root of that. So square root of 36 gives me 6 as the standard deviation. Now notice, what's the difference from our old standard deviation? We went from 2 to 6. 2 times 3 is 6. That's what we were expecting to get. Notice how each of these deviations from the average was multiplied by 3. Okay, so everything is now 3 times farther away from the average than it was before, which is why the standard deviation is 3 times higher. So if we for part B, we multiplied each value by 3 to get to our second list. So the average of 4 was multiplied by 3. So we got 12 as our new average. And the SD of 2 was multiplied by 3. So we got 6. Now, if we know these rules, it means we can save ourselves all the work of finding the standard deviation of that second set, and we could just use the rules. This is in here to kind of be a proof and show you how those rules work and why they work.